Newcastle at home in a big game in terms of the top 4 race for us. Arsenal go away to Crystal Palace on Monday night. So if Spurs can get a win here, and I think, what do we need to win by, 2 goals? Or
2 or more goals, yeah.
2 or more goals does put us in the top 4 for the remainder of the weekend at least. How are you looking at this game coming in? Obviously, we've spoken about at length the kind of record Newcastle have coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it doesn't have good reading for Spurs. But what is it about Newcastle? Why do they always seem to get a result every time they come here?
It's nothing to do with anything special. It's nothing to do with a tactical setup or them being better than us. It's more often than not just pure luck. I think so many instances, for example, Tim Krul, that was a record number of saves in a Premier League match. I remember the next one when we lost 2-1, Sammy Amiobi, I think, scored 10 seconds into the second half, I remember. Literally straight from kickoff. I think it was the quickest goal in the second half ever. They then last season, last minute 1-1 when it was, we battered them all game. Carl Darlow had a great game and we should have won that, and they got a lucky draw. I remember one game where Mitrovic scored in the last minute when we probably should have won that one as well. That was a 2-1 loss. They've just got like a string of really lucky results against us at in N17. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Last season, dire handball. So I don't know. They just seem to do us over for some reason every time they come to our stadium, like just luckily. And you best be sure in the first half, if we've had a host of chances and Dubravka's had a mad game, that anxiety is definitely going to kick in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think, like I say this every game, to be honest, but I think it's imperative for us to get an early goal once again, because it just forces Newcastle to have that bit more adventure going forward, and we can kind of pick them off a little bit. But with the kind of front line that we do have with Kane, Kulu, Son, Bentancur and Højbjerg behind them, and the wing-backs as well, surely we got to look to be on the front foot this game and really just take the game to them.
Yeah, of course. As Johnny mentioned before, they've been a lot more defensively solid since December. They haven't conceded more than a goal in any game since December, and that's very impressive considering where Newcastle were before then, where they were leaking goals left, right and centre. So they've definitely shored things up. Obviously, Dan Burn, Matt Targett. I know Trippier's going to be injured for this game, but him as well, coming into the team.
He's been brilliant since he come in, Trippier.
Yeah, but he's out. He's going to be out, yeah. So they've been really, really good for Newcastle, and they've really helped shore up that defence that was very, very leaky. So it's going to be difficult, but with the formation we play, and how well versed we are now with that formation, and even in the games where we sometimes lose at Wolves and stuff, we're still creating good situations and good chances. So I think we're in a good position now to come into this game and really put pressure on Newcastle and use the wing-backs as much as possible. Use Kane, Son and Kulusevski wreaking havoc in the centre. The key will be Højbjerg and Bentancur being able to really physically dominate the guys in the centre, Bruno and Joe Linton, who are playing very, very well for Newcastle. If they can do that, then I really in no doubt that we'll be able to show our quality in the final third. And we have to make sure we take the game to them 100%. Although they're going to be more solid, if we can show early on that we have the ability to open them up and break them down, then they're going to be then if they're relying on their forward line, I think they're going to be sorely mistaken. I don't think their forward line is going to have enough to hurt us on a regular basis. They're going to have counterattacks and stuff to hurt us. I think we should have enough to keep them out going the other way. I believe that. So I think if we can open them up on a regular basis, that should be enough to win the game.
And looking at, this is the kind of predicted lineup we got. I mean, I do think that they probably will go for a 5 at the back, to be fair, in this game.
By the way, Howe's just done his press conference just now. He said Dubravka, Shah and Shelvey are all fit for this game.
Dubravka, Shah and Shelvey.
Who are on the list there.
Okay. Well, Dubravka's in the team there, so Shah, but not Shelvey. But so I expect Shelvey to play. But let's talk about Joe Linton for a second, because you mentioned him there before, and I think ever since he's moved to centre mid, he's looked like a player reborn. Kieran Trippier was talking about on the kickoff, kind of comparing him to Moussa Dembele. Do you see those comparisons?
Not to the extent that Dembele was, but I see the style of play. He's very strong. He's very good at shielding the ball. He's not quite as good as Dembele at wriggling out of situations, and I don't think he has the ball progression that Dembele has, but I do think he has the strength. I think he has the ball retention, and I think obviously as used to being a striker, he probably been a bit more of a goal threat than Moussa Dembele used to be. So I see the comparisons. I think he's like a B-Tech Moussa Dembele at the moment, but you never know how he can develop. As I said before, Dembele used to be a striker before moving back to midfield, but he used to be a bit more of a threat, I feel. Although Joe Linton at Hoffenheim was quite decent up front, wasn't he? So I think he's changing his position, and maybe that's what he needed to do to really find his home in the Premier League. He was really struggling to find his identity because he was used on the wing, he was used up front, wasn't really clicking for him. But now he seems to be in a position where he's at home.
Yeah, and in terms of some other Newcastle players, I think Ryan Fraser's starting to come to light for them as well. I mean, obviously he's got that long-standing relationship with Eddie Howe. Obviously Eddie Howe got a lot out of him at Bournemouth, and he's starting to get a lot out of him now, isn't he?
Yeah, and another player who's taken a while. He was there last season, wasn't he? Ryan Fraser really didn't pull up any trees, and now under a manager who knows him, he started to get goals and assists on a more regular basis, and he's definitely going to be a bit more of a threat. But I'm confident we have the defenders to keep him out. One player I'm more worried about is to go on the other side, who probably will start, and I don't know if he'll start up front or not, but it's Anderson Axman.
And he's actually been out of the team the last couple of weeks. I think he's been injured. I think he came on in the last game for them, but yeah, I have no doubt he's going to start this game, and he's their main threat, isn't he?
He's one of those players, if he turns it on, he's unstoppable. Yeah. That's the thing. The only thing, it's a bit like Lucas Moura, it's like the only thing stopping him is himself. That's the only thing stopping him, like always playing one on a consistent basis. He's a brilliant player on his day.
It's a bit criminal though that a player of that talent has only got 5 goals and 5 assists this season, because he should be having a lot more, in my opinion, with the talent that he has.
Of course he should, but it doesn't take away that in any given game he can turn it on.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm worried about. He can sometimes he just breezes past you like you're not there and there's nothing you can do about it. A bit like Adama Traore as well. He just has that running ability where he can't be stopped when he's in full flight. And I think he has a bit more end product as well than a player like Adama Traore. And potentially even like Lucas Moura as well. I think he's got a bit more of a better shot. Again, his decision making is lacking. That's probably what keeps him from being an elite player. But he's definitely one where, especially on a counter-attack, he's a massive threat. And if they are going to get a goal or opportunities, he's probably their best source.
Absolutely. Any other players from Newcastle that really worry you coming into this game?
Well, as always with Newcastle, whenever they come, it's their goalkeepers, isn't it? And obviously Martin Dubravka most likely going to be in goal for this one. Karl Darlow had an unbelievable game last time out. We've had the likes of Tim Krul come to our ground as well and have unbelievable games, and I think if Dubravka he's also a very solid keeper. I'm a big fan of Dubravka, and I think ever since he's come to Newcastle, he's done a really good run, had a really good done a really good job. And if he plays again tomorrow on Sunday, got to be wary about him having another very good game, because he can be a difficult keeper to beat sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. With the form with the two clubs that are coming in to this game, obviously Spurs on really good form with, what was it? Is it 4 wins in our last 5 league games?
It's 5 and 7.
5 and 7.
It's since City, yeah.
Yeah, since City. So, I mean, we're scoring a lot of goals, as you can see, 12 goals in our last 5 games, not conceding that many in 5 in our last 5. When on the flip side, when you look at Newcastle, they're not scoring that many, but like you said before, it's their defence that is really coming up trumps at the moment. With that kind of 8 or 9 game unbeaten run with Newcastle, they have lost their last 2 games against Chelsea, which they probably should have got more out of. Well, definitely should have got more out of. And Everton, which Everton scored a goal in the last minute with 10 men, where Newcastle were probably the better side, 11 on 11. What do you make out of Newcastle's form, and are they completely safe now?
I think so. I think they're 9 points clear now from the relegation zone. Do they have any games in hand or anything? No, but they're close. Look, if I was a Newcastle fan, I would look at Aston Villa in 9th, and they're only 5 points behind. So they're closer to Villa in 9th than they are to the relegation zones. I'd be looking up and not down if I was a Newcastle fan. I think that they're pretty much safe. The way they're playing as well, even in the losses that they've had, 2 very close games, one against Chelsea, which they probably should have got something out of, and one against Everton, which they probably should have got something out of. So they'll probably feel a bit unlucky that they're on the run of 2 losses in a row. And I think they're a much more solid team now. They're much more difficult to play against. They're not as easy to create chances against. And they're not this like free-flowing, beautiful football team. But what they are is very solid, and they've got a bit of quality to hurt you on the odd occasion where they're in the final third and the occasions where they do get forward. And they're not a fully integrated Eddie Howe team yet, but I think he's working with what he has to the best of his ability. And I think he's doing a great job. And they've become a very, very solid team. And you can see that with their defensive record.
And with the wealth they have, I mean, how quickly do you think they can come into like a top 4 challenging side?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think it will happen next season. I think even if they do spend however much they do spend in the summer, I think it's going to take too long for everyone to integrate together and gel and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, how long did it take Man City to become like a top 4 challenging side?
It took him a couple years.
But I do say, like, the league is very different now.
That's what I'm saying.
What it was then.
That was then, yeah. So now it's a lot more competitive. I think football's just in a different landscape as it was back then. Teams are smarter now. Everyone has a philosophy and a plan. All the teams are trying to develop that, and even the teams in the bottom half are trying to develop that. And it's going to be difficult to close the gap, as more difficult than it was for Man City to do it way back when. And even for them, Man City, they got all that money back in 2008, and it wasn't until 2011 that they got Champions League football, was it? So it's still, even though they signed Robinho and all them lot early on, it still took them a bit of time to get to really start challenging for top 4. So I still think, and they're probably Newcastle, probably a bit even further behind than City were back then. Even though City weren't great, they're probably a bit better than Newcastle were now. So
that's because they got that owner before then who pumped a little.
Thaksin
bit of money.
Shinawatra,
Yeah,
remember him? Yeah. So I think there will probably
before that owner, there probably wasn't too much difference.
No, probably not. I reckon they're probably around a couple of years from challenging top 4. They do things correctly. You know, as we've seen before as well, there are other clubs who've got money and they haven't known what to do with it. You know, I remember QPR got injected with loads of money, and then they spent a lot of it, and they spent it all in the wrong places.
Yeah, but Newcastle do seem to be doing things kind of a bit more cleverly than that.
They seem to be. Yeah, I'm just saying they have to keep doing it in the right way, and if they do, then it could accelerate the process. But I do think there's still a couple of years away if they do things in the right way. They're probably a couple of years from challenging top 4. But for sure, I think European football could be a target for them next season.
Yeah, do you think like maybe next season, if they qualify for the Conference League, that'd be a really good season for them?
Yeah, of course it would be. They would love that. Going from relegation to European football, that's an unbelievable turnaround for them. Of course they'll accept that. Even top half, I think they'll accept next season.
Yeah, I think you're right there. But in terms of the game, how are you expecting the game to go? In terms of the Spurs lineup, are you expecting just more of the same?
Yeah, unchanged. I don't think we've had any injuries over the international break. I can't see any changes. Obviously, all the players that got left of home, Reguilon, he got left at home, didn't he? Dyer. Who else got left at home? Romero came back early. I think the front three were all away, so they're all going to be obviously definitely in the team, and all the other players that were. I can't see any. I can't envisage any changes happening. Hopefully, Bergwijn gets a bit more minutes, seeing how well he did over the international break, but it has to be an unchanged team. We're playing very, very well at the moment. And I think, especially against Newcastle, although they're a very, very solid team, we have to go all guns blazing. We have to play as we have been in our home games over the past few weeks. And if we do that, I'm sure we'll create enough chances to win the game. Look, you can never guarantee you'll win any game. But if we create enough chances to win the game, the likelihood is we will. And I think we will.
What's your score prediction?
3-1. I think I know they've been solid in Newcastle, but I don't know if they've come up against the quality of Son and Kane in the form they're in. So hopefully, if they turn up and if we win 3-1, we can really put pressure on Arsenal going into their game on Monday night. So I'm going 3-1 Tottenham. I think maybe they'll get a goal with say Maximum or Fraser on the breakaway, but I think we'll score enough to win the game.
Yeah, I'm just worried about coming into this game because we know how we kind of deal with teams in low blocks. Sometimes we don't really have an answer. So that's why I think it's so imperative for us to score that early goal on the weekend. And on top of that, you've got the kind of record hovering over us that Newcastle have at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You have the performance that they have against Chelsea. And I think if they put a carbon copy of that performance in against Chelsea like they at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this weekend, I do think that we could be in a bit of trouble this weekend. But having said that, I am going to stay confident. I am going to think and believe that we can't get that early goal. And if we do get that early goal, I'm going to go for 2-0 to Spurs, with Kane and Son being back at it. And I think Kulu as well gives them just that something extra to think about as well. So we have to go into this game thinking that we can take all 3 points, and we will take all 3 points. But on the flip side of that, whenever we go into games thinking like that, we always come unstuck, don't we? So it is going to be a big game this weekend, and we just need to win. We need to keep plugging away. Let's get. When's the last time we won 3 games in a row this season?
Been a while, yeah. I don't know if we ever did under Conte 3 in a row. I know we won. Maybe we did, but we won because we won
that 9-game unbeaten run. We never went 3 games.
Because we won 6 and drew 3, so it's possible we didn't. It's possible we didn't. So I think if we would get that 3rd win in a row, then that really gives us really positive momentum going into just after the international break, going to the last part of the season, and we'll see what Arsenal are made of on Monday night if we do win by 2 or more goals and we're above them. Obviously, they'll only need a draw to go back above us, but hopefully
the pressure will be on them.
Yeah, the pressure will be
really.
To get the win. Yeah.
All right, well, that is our match preview for the game against Newcastle this weekend. Let me know your score predictions in the comments section below.